Hi there, my name's Michael and I live in London and I work as a TV presenter, and I'm here today to talk to you about learning experiences. Now, one teacher that I remember from my secondary school was my chemistry teacher. She sparked a real interest in the subject for me and always encouraged us to experiment in the practical sessions, and that's exactly what we did. The lab was always a complete mess, but she remained patient and good-humoured. So, tell me about a teacher that has inspired you.
A teacher who inspired me, well, that would actually be my German teacher, which might sound weird, but let's see if I can explain this. No, she inspired me to always think ahead instead of just looking at today. So she inspired me to think ahead and also to use whatever I had, which actually made me quite good at German, even if we are talking English now.
Well, this year at university I had this intellectual property professor. I'm a law student here in London, and I would say that intellectual property is quite a challenging subject, but he managed to make it incredibly accessible to us in the way that he taught, because he was so passionate about how he did it, and he made it very interesting. You know, he never just taught us what you needed to know. He always managed to twist it in some way that would kind of inspire us to be passionate about it.
Well, I remember my teacher, my professor in my MA studies. I was studying applied linguistics and psychology of second language acquisition and bilingualism. He's a great person. He is the can-do. He's got the can-do attitude, and he makes you really feel that you can do it. He never says that this is difficult or this is not relevant or whatever. So once, he gave me that kind of feeling of really of being passionate about what you're doing. So this is what I always remember about my MA studies.
Well, I study development studies, and one of my teachers, who is very inspiring, he's inspiring because he has done a lot of field work himself. So also engaged with social justice, and I think that's really important because he doesn't just do research, but he puts it into practice, and he really cares about what he is teaching us, and he cares about the fact that we will learn from it and will also care about that.
A few years ago I was inspired by my PhD supervisor, and it was because of her that I decided to go for my PhD. So yeah, that would be it. It took my whole life to find a teacher who inspired me. Not that my other teachers were inspirational, but this one actually inspired me to go further and challenge myself.
What qualities does a great teacher need?
Humility. I would say humility. Because if a teacher isn't willing to listen to the student and see what their perspective is and how they see things, or is willing to learn from the student and put themselves in their position and see things from their side so that they can teach them properly, then they're not going to go very far, in my opinion.
I think being able to ask questions and being able to listen and interpret things is really, really important, and that learning is something that's kind of experiential between people, and it shouldn't just be, a teacher knows everything and students don't know anything. So maybe someone who can facilitate that well is maybe a good teacher.
Patience, enthusiasm, drive, and loving the subject that they're teaching. Yeah, they have to be enthusiastic of what they're teaching. They should love it totally.
Yeah, I think just having a personal connection with your students is very important, because every student needs something different in order to learn, and you will not be able to teach them unless you don't, have that ability.
Patience, number one. With students at different levels, you need patience, because not everybody learns at the same speed as you'd like them to. And then humor is definitely another one, because if you can't laugh at yourself or with your students, then there's nothing going on in the classroom, there's no interaction, and I've always believed in laughing with your students. It makes the class happier in some strange way, but it does. So definitely humor and patience are my number 2 qualities.
Is it always necessary to have a teacher when you learn something?
It's not always necessary to have a teacher when you learn something, but for me, I need that human interaction, not all the time. So, for example, I'm learning Portuguese just for fun, and lots of people say, oh, you must be using these new apps. Everyone's using them, they're really successful and so on. And I do use them, but I need to have that contact with a person as well and a structure to enable me to learn at my own pace, if you like.
I actually think that's not the case at all. I think the steepest learning curve I had was when I came out of school and went to university, and I was a bit more independent. And for example, when I started working in a company for the first time, I got an internship at this law firm. And what you don't realize a lot about how you go about in your professional life, you don't get taught at school. So it's how you deal with people, how you answer emails, how you correspond within a firm and work as a team.
Not necessarily, no, because I learned how to write and read Arabic by myself. So I think there's enough resources online that you can go to now, today, in this day and age, in the 21st century, that not necessarily require you to have a teacher. I think it's good to have a point of reference, but I think teachers necessarily, not so much.
So I definitely believe in having a teacher in front of me. I've done it my whole life, and I would never be able to do it via computer or internet or any form like that. So
I learned to play guitar without a teacher. Got a book, listened to CDs and listened to people, and that's how I learned. I didn't need a teacher.